you need to check what we were discussing on here today, you can always refer to it by visiting our YouTube channel. So now I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is not a stranger to the Sailing with Martha mentorship program. She presented on the clinical psychology webinar earlier this year. Please check it out on YouTube as well. And I'm also proud to say that she's my mentor and one of the people that have contributed to me establishing a mentorship program, Sailing with Martha. Tshepiso Ndebele is a dedicated clinical psychologist with strong foundation in psychological assessment, diagnosis, and interventions. Proven ability to work effectively in diverse settings, including medical, psychiatric, and forensic environments. She possesses hands-on experience in wellness engagement, mental health presentations, and group interventions. Her key competencies include individual and group psychotherapy, trauma and wellness debriefing, psychodiagnostic assessment, employee wellness consultancy, career development, psychoacademic support, workshops and training, wellness talks, and engagements. Her academic highlights include going to the University of Limpopo, University of South Africa, and the Sefako Mahato Health Science University. She did her ComServe at St. Rita's Hospital in August 2025 to July 2025. She completed her internship at Fort Napier Forensic Psychiatry in 2022, and she is the director or clinical psychologist at Ndebele Tshepiso Psych Wellness. Some of her engagements include Sikukune FM in 2024, I Met Her podcast in 2022, Blowback FM 2022, and Radio TEF in 2018. Her presentations include burnout, compassion, fatigue, mental health in the workplace, depression and anxiety, post-traumatic stress, and psychosocial hazards in healthcare. I want us to take this opportunity to welcome Tshepiso, and yeah, over to you. You can start sharing.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Martha. There was a glimpse of shyness when you were reading that. I didn't know it was extensive. I was like, you're talking about me? Good evening. I see we've got a hand up. Maybe we can address that one as I'm busy navigating the screen.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me just check. Yes, Tanya, you have your hand up. You can go ahead and mute. Tanya, your hand is up. You can go ahead and mute. You are muted if maybe you're speaking on your side. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, colleagues. I see we are quite a number that we have. I don't know if ever maybe we can take a minute or two. I can give a couple of people an opportunity to check in. Is there anyone who would like to tell us where do I find you this afternoon? A check-in, anyone? Okay, I'll ask Martha to go first. I'm thinking maybe colleagues don't know or rather they are unclear as to how to do a check-in. I think it's one of those things that you guys are. I'm hoping you're gonna do quite a lot in your program where you check in every day because it's very important to check in. Mother, do you want to check in for us?
It's like you saw I needed to check in. So I am feeling overwhelmed. I had quite a busy day, but also I'm feeling excited to be here today, to have this webinar and to just guide through our 2026 cohort in terms of, what to expect, the do's and don'ts of masters. But yeah, I'm feeling, in between overwhelmed and excited as well.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully, by the end of this, you would have. It's like one last checkbox, so that at the end of when we're done here, you're done for the day. You can get some rest, and more or less celebrate the success of today.
Yes, yes, I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Is there anyone else who would like to go now that you know um, dynamics of checking in?
There's a message in the chat. I don't know if you want me to read it out for you or you can see them from your side.
I can see it, but I can't see the names. I think, but I do see somebody saying that they are in a noisy place, but then they're feeling excited and curious about the topics of the session. Well, thank you so much for that. Hopefully, we're gonna live up to the excitement. Okay, I will check in as well. Yes, oh, great. Ngobile, you can go.
Good afternoon, Tshepiso. Good afternoon, Martha and everyone. I'm also feeling overwhelmed. I'm currently busy with my master's in research psychology, so I'm trying to finalize my thesis, and there's just a lot going on. But yeah, hopefully I'll as soon as possible try to find a way to navigate my thesis. I'm also happy to be here today. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of everyone who's also here that finally we made it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to everything that is going to be shared today by colleagues and everyone who's here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, and wishing you all the best with your thesis. Hopefully, it's something that you can be able to wrap up this year and still have enough time to rest a bit before you start on your new journey next year, because it's going to be um, quite quite a bumpy road. Okay, I think for the sake of time, I will then check in myself. I am feeling well. I am doing well. I'm now in private practice on a full-time basis, so my days are very unstable. Some days are busier than others, but I still find joy and gratitude in the quiet days. I think I've gotten used to the concept of waiting and being comfortable in waiting. So I am doing well. I spent the whole day waiting for this because I was just so excited to meet people and to welcome people into the profession. So, yeah, I think we can start. I'm hoping that those who did not check in, take a moment to check in with yourself. Just ask yourself, where am I? What am I experiencing? What am I feeling? And what is it that I need to process at the end of the day? Because that is a very important part of the profession, the ability to check in with the self. So, I'm gonna be looking at, or rather, we're gonna be talking a bit about life beyond selections, and I'm going to give a lot of background that is related to myself as well as my experience. because to some extent I've had an experience that is not common, it's not popular. When you get into the psychology world, if, they start preparing you in undergrad that it's so difficult to get into masters. So you go in more or less trying to prepare yourself for waiting, preparing yourself for some level of delay. So my experience is opposite to that of which I was prepared for. In that in itself, I was not prepared for it to be different from how it went. So you'll hear me referencing a lot about my experience, but hopefully there will be someone who will resonate, and those who don't resonate particularly with my experience can also have some level of empathy, because that experience is also very difficult, even though it's not popular or it's not mainstream as to how we expect psychology to go. So, what I will be looking at, more or less, just to get an overall preparation for next year, we're going to look at the logistics. We are going to look a bit at the finances, the adjustment and integration into the program, the support structure, and most importantly, the psychopersonal work that we'll have to put into place once the year starts, essentially. So, a bit of background about me. I think Martha has elaborated quite extensively on this one, and thank you so much for that. But what is more impactful for me, just to give that background, I started working because I was so prepared, or so anxious rather, about being in psychology, that my second year of undergraduate, I was already starting with my volunteer work, and I started working at the Center for Student Counselling and Development at the University of Limpopo, and that was very intentional on my part. But it was not to prepare me for masters. I think it was to prepare me for life after undergraduate. I wanted to get more experience so that I am hireable, if I can put it that way, after graduating undergrad. And what was different is I was a peer counselor for about 3 years of my undergraduate degree, and that in itself came with a lot of experience. I gained a lot of experience in um, assessment. I did a lot of outreaches. I did a lot of radio interviews. I may have not had extensive patient work, but as far as psychology goes, as far as group interventions, that period of my life was very significant. And this part is important. This level of experience that I gained before I graduated is important to keep in mind. So after I graduated in 2018, let me move to this one. 2018, I graduated, and then 2019, or rather, when I was still in 2018, my final year, I applied to one university because I felt like I hadn't yet graduated. I haven't yet completed. I don't know if they're gonna take me. I concluded that universities would not take me because I haven't graduated, and I applied to only one university, which was my alma mater university, and they didn't even call me for selection. So, and that for me kind of solidified the fact that any other university wouldn't take me, and I did not apply. And 2019 came into play, and I managed to secure employment, luckily. And while I was working, I then applied for my master's. I was very intentional because, again, when I was doing my graduate university, I was part of the Forum, African Forum, or Forum of African Psychology, sorry. And I was very intrigued by the concept of African psychology, and I wanted to explore more about it. So even when I was applying for my master's, I was very intentional about applying to historically Black universities. So I applied again to my alma mater university. I applied to SMU, I applied to UKZN, I applied to UNISA, because those were universities for me that I felt they were making waves, or they were making ways towards African psychology. And I then went on to attend my selection at Sefako Makgathe Health Science University. It was my first selection ever. And because I was not prepared, when I went there, I was not prepared to get into masters. Remember, the popular route is that once you graduate, you have to wait 2, 3 years. You have to apply 2, 3, 4 times before you get selected. So for me, I went there with the sense of, I'm just going there for the experience. I'm applying for the sake of experience. I was prepared to feel heartbroken about not making it into masters if I applied around 2020, I mean 2022, 2021, somewhere there. With 2019, 2020, I was absolutely prepared to have not been selected. And lo and behold, I go there, I'm chilled. Everyone is nervous. I remember colleagues who were shivering, just so nervous. And those who have attended the SMU selection will tell you that there is that sense of shock that comes with it, because on the email it's like 10 of you. They're like, we liked you, please come for selection on this day at this time, and it's just 10 of you on that email. And you go there, when it's your slot, you meet 10 colleagues, people, 10 hopefuls. You go through the program of the day or program of that particular time, and then they tell you you must come back around afternoon to come and check the list. They will tell you around 2 or 3, depending, I think. And then when you come back in the afternoon, it's like hundreds and hundreds of people in the hallway. And that in itself is such a shock, because only you knew about, if it's your first time applying especially, is that it was 10 of you in the email. So that was very shocking for me. And people were very, there were some who were upset about that dynamic, who felt not prepared to come in and find it's 100+ people. I remember at our time we were like 200 and something. And then there is the list. You check yourself on the list, and if you are on the list, you are moving on to the next round. I was very shocked to find my name on the list, actually. And another funny thing is that they used my second name, the name that I'm not even used to. So I did read my name, but I passed it because it's not a name that I'm used to. It's almost like I was reading somebody else's name there. But then I had to go and do a second look, and that's when I got to see, oh, I've made it to the second round. And I was still grateful for that, but I still did not expect myself to have made it. But when I went through the process, I was very calm about it. I think even my colleagues, they would say Tshepiso was the calmest, because Tshepiso did not go there to be selected. She went there for the experience. So when they selected me, first day, I think there was that element of denial. I did not feel anything at all. It was, oh, okay, they've selected me, then what now? But it also, that was in July, and I had to quickly go back to work. So I did not go through any emotions, and I feel like that for me was some level of disservice, because by the time January came 2020 and I go into Masters 1, I was not prepared at all. But luckily for myself, I didn't necessarily have many things to worry about, except for personal dynamics. It was a difficult transition, which I think it's important. I'll get into, where you have to prepare people in your life for making it, because even my family was not prepared for me to make it into masters, and that meant also that my family was not prepared for me to have to leave a job to go back to school. So that transition was also very difficult for them to get you there, to wrap their head around it. So I made it into the masters, and I started my journey in 2021. So navigating the logistics of it is very important, as I mentioned, and that includes also aspects of preparing your family for it. As soon as you get selected, you then need to start thinking about and processing all the emotional worries and burdens that comes with having to uproot your life basically to go and start over. For those who are employed, you have to start preparing yourself for the idea that you are going to have to leave your job. You are going to have to leave that sense of security that you would have built wherever you have been living. If you've been living in one place for long, if you've been living with your family, if you've been living with your partner, if you've been living on your own, but that independence of the security that comes with the independence thereof. So it's also important to also start thinking about the traveling dynamics of it. How are you going to get there? Where are you going to live? I personally, and maybe it's because I had just been fresh from campus, it was such an easy transition for me to go back into campus. But you have people who have left campuses for a very long time and now having to go back into student living, having to wrap your head around the fact that you have to deal with student noise. And another thing is it's different depending on which universities that you'll be going to. Some universities you'll be expected to live in the same area with those who are undergraduate. And there is something about growing up and noise. It's I don't know the psychology of it, where as soon as you get to a certain level, certain noises become difficult to adjust to. So those are some of the things you have to think about if you're thinking about where am I going to live? Am I going to go into campus? Am I going to go off campus? If I'm going off campus, what are going to be my travel arrangements? Because that again is important. The program is very strenuous. There are some who would say, I left my place at 7 a.m., I'm coming back at 7 p.m., and I've been on campus all day long. So will traveling be easy for you? So those are some of the things you have to think about now. Don't wait to think about it in January or think about it in December, because then it's gonna ruin your whole festive season. And another major aspect is the finances. There are a number of bursaries that are there, but it's difficult to navigate. I think for me, with the institution that I went to, there were a lot of pluses that came with it that I didn't even think of when I was applying, which was the financial component of it, where with SMU they provide, or at that time, they provided a bursary, and that bursary covered your fees throughout your 2-year coursework. And that alleviated a lot of financial burdens for a lot of people. And maybe again, because it's a health sciences university, they were not fussy about the finances of things for us in masters in particular, where I think they knew that you are gonna eventually go into internship and hopefully you are going to pay them back. So the financial stress for a number of my colleagues was not there. On my side also, I was fortunate to have had been awarded the NRF bursary that I applied for after being selected when I was looking at aspects of finances. And a number of people apply for the bursary, and people would say, but the NRF they don't take. I think one tip for myself that I would say is choose a topic that is not extensively researched. For instance, topics about HIV, those have been extensively researched. Topics about trauma, unless if you have an angle to trauma that has not been researched a lot. I do know that topics relating to Black men in particular are really, the literature is not enough on Black men's experiences. I know there is a new trend or emerging studies on neurodivergence. People want to know about neurodivergence. So people want to know about African spirituality and its interconnectedness into psychology. So on my side, I think and another one is social media as well. the studying social media and its impact on the psyche. Because I'm saying this because my study was on Black men's experiences when I was, and also very important to note, every when you apply for this program, even if I know they would have said they wanted a topic of some sort, your supervisor, they more or less want an area of interest. So having an area of interest that has not extensively researched on will help you a lot. So my area of interest was experiences of Black men, and I think that's what gave me an opportunity to receive the bursary. Another colleague of mine, I think we were three who managed to secure NRF. The other one was researching on social media and its impact, I believe, on the view of the self. And the other colleague was researching on aspect of African spirituality and grief, particularly with ladies, if I remember correctly. See, it's a broad area of interest because at the end, when I was thinking about it, I wanted to explore trauma, how Black men experience trauma, how they process trauma. And when I met with my supervisor, she said it's an interesting area, but we have to now think about who is going to be the people that you're going, who's going to be your sample, the people that you're, where are you going to find them, and that just became difficult. And she said, but you want to research on Black men? I said yes. And she said, have you thought about aspects of social media, because there is an element of trauma that can happen even if it's not a tangible, or rather the physical trauma. And that's when I thought about, oh, hashtag men are trash. It's such a big impactful statement, and I'm wondering, how do Black men in particular experience that hashtag? How do they experience social media or spaces where there is such a big saying which says that men are trash? Do they identify with it? Does it impact how they view the self? And that's the study I went with. It wasn't the topic per se that I had applied to NRF with, but the area was still the same. So it was quite an easy thing to then send NRF and say my topic has changed, but it's still the same area. So that did not impact on the funding itself. Another important thing is the support structure, as I mentioned. It's important to start preparing your family now, your friends now, your colleagues, if you have, of what is going to happen, the reality that you're going to be living with here on. So it's important for your family to know that if you're having a job, that you won't be working anymore. If you were the sole provider, that your provision is going to be limited. But I always say you have to view this as a more of a temporary temporary sacrifice for a long-term reward. At the end of your program, it's going to be very rewarding. And also you have to anticipate that there might be some adjustment challenges in reintegration, especially if ever you're leaving a particular role for another role. There are those who are probably wives, there are those who are mothers that have to leave those major roles to go and integrate into a life where you know you're not going to be able to be a mother how you used to be a mother. You're not going to be able to be a wife how you used to be a wife, or a father how you used to be a father, a husband how you used to be a husband. So preparing your support structure and also adjusting on yourself is going to be significant. I remember when we had our welcome meeting with our HOD, one of the things he said was, don't make major changes in your life. Next year, you should try to make it a year of consistency. And it's going to be difficult, particularly because it's not going to be all up to you. As I mentioned, you're going to be leaving a particular role for another role. So I don't know what you believe in. I'm hoping people believe in some sort of higher power. If you do believe in some sort of higher power, lean on that higher power, that your husband is able to be with you during that time of masters, your wife is able to be with you during that time of masters, because it's going to be life changing. And what comes with the program is a lot of growth, a lot of learning and unlearning. And this is the part of the psycho personal skills that is going to form part of you next year. You are going to unlearn a lot. You are going to lose yourself to gain or to regain a new self. Why I'm saying this is the concept of becoming a psychologist. And some people, I do know people have said that it's almost like it strips you of who you are or who you were to become somebody else and to become what we would call a tabula rasa, to be an empty vessel that other people can come in and fill in there. And for other people to come and fill in you, they have to find you empty. And I'm not saying empty in a negative sense. I'm saying it in a sense that you are able to put parts of yourself aside to accommodate and create space for them. And that unlearning is not going to be limited to being a psychologist or limited to the classroom or the therapy room. It's going to translate even in your personal life, meaning there are certain things that you are not going to be anymore, that people in your life have gotten used to you being that person or you being that thing for them. So if you were somebody who was more of a people pleaser, you are not going to be anymore. And that is going to be a shocking change that some people in your life may not be able to accommodate. And if they are not able to accommodate, others may leave, others may make steps to um, learn how to accommodate this new you. And some people find people in your life who will change with you, who will say, I want to be with you in this progress, in this process, that I myself will then change and adapt along with you. And if that is the case, thank heavens that is the case, and pray about it that that is the case, manifest on it or that is the case, prepare for it or that will be the case, where you prepare that they're gonna move with you or you prepare that they're not gonna move with you, because that is the reality that comes with being in the program. Once this unlearning also will take place even with who you are in terms of cultural dynamics. And I think this is very important and it's very, very difficult, particularly if you're not going to an accommodating um, university. I think for myself, being in a university that accommodated African psychology, I found it easy because it was understanding. For instance, there will be the expectation, fresh and young, if I can put it that way, and you're going to meet a patient who's older. And the Eurocentric way of psychology expects you to meet that older person as a patient, as somebody who doesn't have the expertise that you have, which is true. But from an African perspective, if you're brought up in culture, you're going to find it very difficult. You will want to say to that older person, gore ke ntate mamang, or ke gogo mamang, or ke mme mamang, because it's part of respect that we show. It's part of who we are. It's part of culture. But you might find that you are put in positions where you have to put that aside and say, yes, address that older person by name, because that's what the modality would have been wanting from you. So that part of unlearning is also going to be very difficult. However, I think the beauty of it is once you've pulled through the layers of unlearning and you are relearning, it's also quite easy to then overcome imposter syndrome. I think this is something that I battled a lot with. As I mentioned, I came into the program very unprepared. It was my first time applying and I made it through, and it was different from colleagues. I think I put pictures of my friends and colleagues who I studied with, and if I was to tell you, one of them here had applied into masters like 4 times. He had then went and got into another masters, and he went and became a teacher, and he did PGC. He was a teacher and he was working with children with special needs. he was doing his master's in education, and then he made it into master's with psychology. So his experience was different from mine, actually all of them. And I was the only one who was coming in as a first time applicant. And what that happens sometimes is you feel like you don't have enough experience. And this is the imposter syndrome. You feel like you don't have enough experience to have a voice. And even in discussions, even when something is not personal, which nothing ever is when you are in masters, because we are there to learn, we are there to discuss, we are there to challenge each other. And I found myself feeling personally challenged because I myself felt like I wasn't deserving. I felt like I was an imposter in the program. So even when people were debating or challenging my views from a clinical perspective, I felt like they were saying to me, I don't have enough experience. And that was not the case. That was just me not recognizing the experience that I had. And for me, I could say I can lean on the fact that I was a peer counselor throughout my undergraduate. I've been in the psychology space. I have the experience. I just don't believe in it because for me, it did not translate or it did not come as packaged in the struggle of getting into masters. And that was difficult. That was very much depressing. It took, I think, again, credits to the institution where when we made it into masters, they then said they created a program, or it has always been there, where you are assigned a therapist. They greatly encourage that you are in therapy while you're going through your masters. And I think I encourage you as well. I think that's what you need, having that therapy. It was through the therapy that I was able to find my voice. I was able to recognize the experience that I had. And in doing that, I allowed for learning to take place, because I think previously I was just so defensive over this thought that I wasn't deserving, that I denied myself the opportunity to learn. And I know in the beginning there were colleagues who we did not gel well together, and that's simply because I was comparing my experience with theirs. And if I was to say, there is a colleague of mine who, before she came into masters, she was a registered counselor in private practice. And there is this word that she used to say, and it used to be such a trigger for me. But for her, it was the reality. We would be debating on a particular thing, a particular topic, a particular way of doing things. And then she would say, well, when I was in private practice, we used to do one, two, three. And I could not have a comeback to that, because then I don't have that. I've never been in private practice. So for me, I took that as her saying that because I don't have private practice, I can't argue her point because I don't have tangible proof. But it wasn't a matter of having tangible proof, it was a matter of different experiences. And again, because psychology is so broad, the modalities are so broad, both of us are correct. We just have been using things differently. But because of the level of defensiveness, I think I lost out on some opportunities to learn from her. But luckily, after the dynamics of finding my voice, growing, learning, unlearning, and taking the layers off in my own personal psychotherapy, we formed a very beautiful relationship. She's one of my closest friends right now. But in the beginning, her coming with private practice experience and me coming with what I felt was no experience at all made it difficult for us to actually get along. But once we got to learn that actually both of us have are deserving to be in that space and carried ourselves as people who are deserving, it was such a smooth sailing from there. I think you also have to prepare yourself to channel your inner psychologist. For those that I mentored when I was doing their autobiography, I always said to them, remember that this autobiography, you're writing it to a psychologist, somebody who's not going to read it on face level, somebody who's going to read into the depths of what you're writing. So even now, starting now, I'm not saying psychologize everyone in your life, but start developing that sense of understanding and empathy that will be required from you on a daily basis. So when you talk to people, remember that you're not talking to them on a face level, but you're talking to them on the inner parts of who they are. You listen to some of the things that they are not saying, and you become curious about it. And being curious doesn't mean overtaking the space where now you're working yourself too hard, which is going to happen when you are in the program. You're going to be a psychologist everywhere, every day. But I think at some point you will then learn and realize that you are working for free. And another thing is with the program itself, I would encourage you guys to build strong relationships, strong friendships with your colleagues. Remember, the person you are in the program with, there is nobody who knows what you are going through more than they, because they are also going through it. So leaning on each other, leaning on supporting each other, and encouraging that level of closeness and support will carry you a long way. I was very intentional about putting these two pictures here because these are, of course, with everyone else, but then these are my best friends that I met in the program, and we've been together ever since. And just as recent as a few weeks ago, we met again because one of us was getting married, and we said we need to recreate that selfie. And these the type of bond that is going to carry you through internship. It's going to carry you through working, either if you go into private practice or you go into government work. These are the people that you're going to call whenever you come across something that is challenging, because they know what you've been through. You've been through it together. So, and another beautiful thing with our cohort is we had a saying, no man left behind. And of course, we abuse that sometimes, where if one of us verbally says, I'm not ready for this test, then this test is not happening. And that was the type of spirit that we developed within ourselves. And of course, it's not something that you can create on your own, but go into the program with that attitude of saying, I want to build strong friendship first, before we're even colleagues, for us to be friends, for us to have empathy for each other, and for us to carry this relationship beyond where we are now. Of course, you may not be able to keep everyone, because other people after the program, they then go back to their lives, focusing on their children, on their husbands, on their wives. But for those that you are able to retain them, and but start building that from the first day you enter that room. When they say welcome to Masters 2026, go in there and says, I'm coming here to make friends. You're going to meet people from different walks of lives. Be willing to learn. And in big parts of my unlearning, I learned so much actually from my white friends, because they did life very differently from um, how I would do them, or how I was taught to do them as a black person. There were many instances where aspects of social justice, I learned from them, because in most cases their societies teach them to be bold, whereas within the African perspective, you are taught to be very humble, to be not be destructive to systems when they are in terms of culture and tradition. And it was also in them questioning some of the things, through wanting to learn, of course, when they question things that I would never question because they are simply part of my culture, that I actually also got to learn more about my own culture. And I think that is the beauty of the willingness to learn, to channel your inner psychologist, to find your voice, and to overcome that imposter syndrome. You are able to ask and you are able to learn. So this is a very integral part. And I think in more or less closing, or in emphasis, I would say, please, if you are able to have access to psychotherapy, have access to psychotherapy. Take that opportunity to be in your own psychotherapy, because that is where majority of the work is going to take place, that you'll be able to apply in the group, and hopefully it's going to yield you positive results. So without being too long, I think I would like to say welcome to the profession, colleagues. And I am very intentional about saying colleagues, because I think this is more or less the last leg of psychology to some extent, where after this, you will officially be a psychologist. If you want to move forward again and do your PhDs to become Dr. Someone, at the end of the day, you are going to be officially psychologist. And if I might add, to the ego, once you are done and you are a psychologist, and if you get employed in the hospital or a public sector, for you to always remember that within that institution of a hospital, you would be the only person who was hired because they have a postgraduate degree. And that is very important. I'm saying this so that when you walk in those walls as a psychologist, you remember that everyone who is there, yes, they know because they have studied it, but they don't know it more than you. So when you see your patients, when you advocate for your patients, advocate for them from a space of saying, not from an ego perspective, but to say there is nobody within the hospital context who knows a human psyche more than the psychologist, because that is the speciality that you study. And that will carry you through when you advocate for your patients and you advocate more than anything for mental health. So, thank you so much for listening. And again, a very, very warm welcome to the profession. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tshepiso, for the invaluable insights that you've shared with our colleagues. Yes, I like the fact that you refer to them as colleagues because they are officially our colleagues. Even though I'm speaking as someone that is not yet a registered psychologist, but yeah, you know that feeling that comes with feeling that you now finally belong or you have eventually made it, you know. So yeah, thank you so much once again. I trust and believe that they are now well equipped in terms of how they're going to navigate their master's journey. Um,
Oh, I apologize, guys. My office
oh, it's okay.
is on my site. I'm gonna try and mute.
Okay, no problem. I thought there was someone trying to speak. So yeah, that was Tshepiso Ndebele. She's a clinical psychologist. Everyone, you can check her out on her social media platforms on Instagram and LinkedIn. She is Tshepiso Ndebele if you want to connect with her further. Yeah, I see there was a hand from Ngobile. I don't know if that hand is still up. The hand is down. I don't know if you want to take questions? Oh, there is Nompumelelo. Oh, there's two hands. Okay, Nompumelelo, you can go ahead, unmute and ask your questions or share what you wanted to share with us.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you can hear me. First of all, I want to say thank you. On social media, there isn't a lot of information of what to expect next year or during M1. So I really appreciate those questions. When I have two questions next. So the first question is, I am currently still doing my honors. And there's a lot of imperfections in where I got accepted to do my master's next year. And I haven't shared the news with a lot of people, mainly people have like, yeah, but don't get too excited or else something that might happen. So how do you deal with that introspection then? And then the second question I have is, when it comes to research, how do you navigate that? Because I don't know, there's a lot of fear that has been instilled in me, if I can put it that way, when it comes to research. And I want to know how to navigate that and trust in your own voice and in your own ability. Thank you.
Sure. Um, I struggled to get your question. So please, if I may trouble you, can you please type the two? I did hear that it's two questions. There is can please type it and then I will answer it if that you're comfortable with that. Would you be comfortable with that? Okay, thank you. Yes, Nobile, hi.
Oh, hi, Tshepiso. Thank you so much for the information you shared with us. It's really, really helpful. I found myself at some point being super, super emotional when you gave us that post. Welcome to the profession, colleagues. Yeah, it's finally happening. I just wanted to ask that with regards to like the psychology journey from undergrad and then honors, I've noticed that most of the time students have that competitive spirit. I'm not sure if other people have experienced that. So you'd find that students, for example, they always compete with each other because, for example, in psychology, maybe you need to get like the best of the best marks, or you competing because of the master selections. So I wanted to understand or ask if you kind of experienced that during your own masters year, where like people are still continuing being competitive with each other, or it was just the thing of, you were learning from each other, you were supporting each other and whatnot. Because even during my honors year, I really experienced that from other students where they were extremely competitive with each other, and it ended up being so difficult to work with people that are kind of like that. Thank you.
Yes, competition is there, and I think it's the program is structured, how the journey to becoming a psychologist is structured. They're closing up the office. I hope you guys are not distracted by the noise. So I think going back to, I think I made quite an example of how I came into the program and how one of my colleagues came into the program, where there was that disintegration because, as I mentioned, I think I was also competing myself without being aware that I'm competing, and I was competing also looking at my own inner workings of what I was going through. Hence, I said that, whenever she said, in my private practice, that triggered me, and then I would become defensive on whatever she was, or I would block myself from learning whatever she was that she was trying to teach. And I think vice versa for her as well, if even though I am speaking for her, but that's something that I think the ability or the opportunity to be in therapy, it helped me greatly because it goes with the therapy supports the process of unlearning the competitiveness. And competitiveness in this sense is not a terrible thing because it's a defense mechanism. You're trying to defend your psyche from something that is more unpleasant, which is the feelings of inadequacy, the feelings of not being enough. So that is significant in that sense. When you then go into have your own therapy, you then build some level of empathy. When you have empathy for your colleague, then that competition, it's not there in that sense. So competition was there, but I think because of the support that we've had from therapy, we were able to navigate it as a group. And ultimately, I would like to think that we worked well together. If competition was there, it did not infringe on our ability to continue learning from each other. Yeah. So I would say fix yourself to fix the group, if I can put it that way. Having your own how you come in, how assessing how you come into the program as well. And I think that will help you in terms of receiving or analyzing the competition to say, is it competition or is this person trying to defend their psyche against something that is uncomfortable, that is within them, not even within you? So I think for me, recognizing that it was my own imposter that was making her experience difficult for me to accept. It's what helped. I hope I answered you, Ndebele. All
Yes,
right.
thank you so much for this.
Okay. And Nompumelele is saying how to navigate imposter syndrome. I'm currently in honors. I haven't given myself to celebrate getting into the program. How to find confidence in your own voice when it comes to research. I think I would like to couple the first question with what Nobile was asking in terms of imposter syndrome. Challenge your own thoughts, because imposter is just a psychological framing, so you have to reframe the idea that you are not deserving to be in the program. For some people, it's you may feel that way because you haven't taken time to process and actually um, get to recognize what are the qualities that got you into the program. For me, if I was to go back, as I mentioned in the beginning, the experience that I had, because I've been working, I've been in psychology through volunteer work. When I got into master, I did not recognize that experience as significant. I felt like the most significant experience one can have is the struggle that comes after graduation. Hence, I was not recognizing the fact that I had experience. I was knowledgeable on aspects of psychology, and I had honed my characteristics through the volunteer work because I've been working with people. So I possess those qualities: empathy, that is required. It may have not been the best, of course, of which I don't want it to be the best, because if I'm already the best, then why am I in the program? Because in the program, I'm going there to learn. So I had the skill, I just needed to add more to it, and recognizing the need to add, recognizing that I'm adding. I don't come with nothing, I come with something, and the program is going to add to that, kind of helped with dealing with the imposter syndrome. But in other complex cases, I think if you do have access to therapy, go and unpack where it comes from. It could be rooted in childhood. If that's the case, then you will need a more extensive form of support, because sometimes trying to work through things on your own, you might make them even more worse. So if you are able to have access to that support, then do um, utilize that. And the second one is how to find confidence in your own voice when it comes to research. This one, I absolutely have no idea. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's something that I myself is still navigating, because I enjoyed my study, but I think I don't feel that I found my voice in it, so much so that I haven't done any articles on it. I keep on saying I'm gonna do articles on it, but procrastinating. So maybe it's because I myself haven't found my voice in research. And I think it's something that I would hope you're able to get somebody who has done research, enjoys it, and get a mentor in it who will support you through the journey of falling in love with research. I think that's the plan for myself, because as it stands, it's not my favorite thing. And I think also because research is such research, sometimes it delays. I believe I have a level of animosity still towards research, because I had to spend an extra year at home, not working, not having an income, because I had to complete research. So it's not my favorite thing, but I'm hoping that it's going to be my favorite thing. I'm open to it. So I think being first open with it and getting a mentor in that area of expertise, I think that will help you in finding confidence in your own voice when it comes to research. So I hope I answered those two questions adequately, Nompumelelo. All right, thank you. I don't know, do we have another one? Maybe last one or last two.
I don't see any hands for now. We also don't have anything in the chat. So I don't know if maybe someone has a question, they can type it out later or reach out. So yeah.
Okay. I guess we'll see what they decide. But otherwise, thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me this space to share what I have. I hope it was fruitful and that you are going to find it helpful. And Martha, thank you so much for having me.
It is only a pleasure. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, online presence, and the beautiful presentation and insights. I really hope that they've learned a lot.
I'm
Uh,
gonna put on my camera and say hi. I can imagine there are those who would like to put a picture to the face. Let's see if I can do that. Um, yeah, this is me. Hello. For those who want to put a picture to the name, I think yes, this is me. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. So that was Tshepiso Ndebele, everyone, colleagues, not everyone. So our next speaker is Nomalungelo Ngomane. Noma is also not a stranger to Sailing with Martha. She's a mentor at Sailing with Martha and has made some invaluable contributions as well to our master's prep sessions and the recent video that we did on dealing with rejections. So apologies for that. Norma Adorable Ngomane is a passionate and dedicated post-intern counseling psychologist with a rich academic background and a vibrant love for learning and sharing knowledge. She completed her undergraduate studies at Northwest University Mohegan campus and pursued her honors at the Val campus. Her journey in education began early, driven by a genuine love for helping others understand complex concepts. In 2018, while still an undergraduate, Norma started as a supplementary instruction facilitator, tutoring sociology and industrial psychology. Her enthusiasm for mentoring grew, and in 2019, she expanded her tutoring repertoire to include personality psychology, further commenting her passion for guiding students through their academic journeys. During the challenging times of COVID-19, 2020, Norma founded her own tutoring business, Adorable Tutor, which became a vital resource for high school learners and undergraduate transitioning to online learning. In 2021, she continued her facilitation work by tutoring positive psychology, all while completing her honors studies, demonstrating her commitment to both academic growth and mentorship. Her dedication to fostering academic development led to her mentor honors students and master's hopefuls, supporting their aspirations as she began her own master's studies at the University of KwaZulu-Natal Howard College in 2023. In 2024, she completed her internship at the Tshwane University of Technology main campus in Pretoria, where she also worked part-time as a lecturer helping engineering and arts students adjust to university life. Additionally, she is an online wellness mentor for UKZN undergraduate students. Currently, she is in the final stages of her master's dissertation with hopes of graduating soon, all while balancing her various academic and mentoring commitments. She further expanded her mentoring efforts by joining the Cognition and Core Mentoring Program and Sailing with Martha program, continuing her passion for guiding master's hopefuls and fostering their success. Beyond her academic pursuits, Norma is a lover of reading novels, especially on her self-care Fridays. Moreover, she finds joy in connecting with nature, creating art and drawings, listening to music, and maintaining close bonds with her family through video calls. She's also currently volunteering as a lay counselor for the boy child at a primary school that she joined in 2022 and shadowing psychologists at a hospital in Johannesburg. Fun fact, Norma once tried to cook a fancy dinner for her friends, but she accident sorry about that. It's a fun fact. I have to laugh. But she accidentally set her kitchen timer to bake instead of broil and ended up baking her oven mitts instead of the food. Thankfully, everyone found it hilarious rather than disastrous. Norma believes her warm personality, dedication to growth, and genuine desire to inspire others make her an ideal mentor and a compassionate individual. Her multifaceted interests and unwavering commitment to helping others reflect her vibrant spirit and her readiness to support prospective master's students on their academic and personal journeys. What a bio! Thank you so much, Norma, for joining us. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. I hope I am audible enough. Can you hear me well by a show of thumbs up? Can you hear me well?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. As my colleague already mentioned, my name is Norma, and I'm sorry for the long bio, guys, but I hope everyone is trying to do some other things on the side so that they can be able to enhance their CVs, as well as to not only rely on psychology as a field. And welcome to Navigating the M1 Journey, which is striving beyond the acceptance letter. So first of all, I would like to say congratulations on your acceptance into the Masters in Psychology 2026 program. This is a significant achievement, and I'm thrilled to be part of your journey. As someone currently navigating my own master's year since 2023, imagine I'm still doing my research. I want to share some tools, tips, and personal stories to help you start strong, to stay motivated, and to thrive throughout this exciting chapter. So, the tools I utilized as I started the first year master's journey was that when we arrived at our clinic, psychology clinic at Howard College campus, we were told if you are not seeing a therapist as yet, you need to start seeing a therapist. So personally, at least I was seeing a counselor back at home in Mpumalanga. But then when I got there in Durban, I knew that I need another therapist in the university setting, at least to navigate my journey easily, and to also be someone who will be ready to help other students navigate their developmental issues as well as personal issues whilst I counsel them. And another thing was that I had recently lost my father in 2022, so I needed to continue with therapy so that I can still be healthy enough to see other people who are grieving their parents or who are grieving a lost loved one. So, including that tool of self care or seeing a therapist, um, when I first started, the workload felt overwhelming into a into an extent where I even asked myself whether I really wanted to be there, or can I just pack my bags and go back home, because yes, I might belonging in that group, but in the whole world, really, who am I to be chosen with the five people that they wanted at UKZ and Howard College? So I would have those thoughts, and I regard them as negative considering the methodologies that we use in psychology, or the theoretical frameworks. So I had to also learn that I should stop having these thoughts or to doubt myself. I worked hard for this, and um, there are many people or witnesses that know Norma is a psychologist by her nature. So I decided to start affirming myself, or making sure that I tell myself positive things on a daily. And I started having multiple readings, and I started engaging with my assignments and research deadlines in a way that I was present in my class. And to stay on top, I started developing a structured timeline and also a timetable that prioritized tasks based on the deadlines and importance. So, for an example, which is something that you'll also have to do as an M1 student, you will have to have a planner to break down large projects or assignments into weekly goals, as well as try to make them manageable for you. Make sure you have those sticky notes on your walls or in your bedroom, so that you don't forget what you need to submit when, because sometimes they can give you 5 assignments that are due um, on consecutive days. So you didn't really know which one to start with or which one to end with. You need to tackle them simultaneously, so, and make sure that all of them are submitted in time and exactly as they are supposed to be done. Also, you will have to try setting specific achievable targets each day. Even myself, this helped me to avoid last minute stress, and it built a sense of progress in me. I would also reward myself with my favorite things or snacks on my self care Fridays to say that good job on your psychopathology assignment and submitting it on time. Good job on your career counseling module for getting these marks and all that. So through that, I also learned the importance of active note taking during my lectures, and also summarizing readings in my own words. Because at Howard College, where I was at, in that campus, they would always give us Mondays to actually go through some readings. Each of us would have a chapter on a psychopathology textbook. Also, this other textbook where you need to learn about being a good, skilled helper. So each of us would choose which chapter are you going to summarize through the weekend, and then Monday you will have to present that chapter. And if it's a chapter about counseling a student or counseling someone, or on a psychological perspective, you would have to show videos that can help us learn more about that chapter. So it was basically each of us lecturing each other on all those topics that were preparing us to be better psychologists. So that's when I learned how to summarize readings in my own words. And this not only improved my understanding, but also saved me time when revising for exams. Also, you need to remember that it's okay to ask for clarification from your professors, your lecturers, or the trainers in your university, and also your peers, those you are with in class. Even though there's always competition, try to be as calm as possible, try to make friends or connect with them, try to always go in class or go to your class with the aim of learning. So if anything feels unclear, collaborate with them and seek support so that you can enhance your learning process. And the tips for effective research preparation that I had or have been doing since I'm still busy with my research. Um, Research can seem daunting at first. That's one thing I will tell you, especially when you're unfamiliar with the methodologies or the types of research or even statistical tools that are involved, especially in quantitative research. I'm a lover of qualitative, but somehow I ended up doing quantitative, and I'm still going to highlight that story a bit later. So, my first research proposal was a topic that was very, very easy, and it's something that I wanted to continue from my honors year. So I wasn't really sure about choosing that topic and analyzing the data of that topic since it was a bit sensitive as well about gender based violence. So to overcome this, I dedicated time to some workshops and online tutorials, also on statistics and research designs, as well as gaps in our country. So I started to think about a better topic. And somehow, the supervisor that they gave me at school was someone who wanted to explore something at UKZN or in Devon generally. So he suggested that I can do research that he really wants to do if I don't mind, and then we will see how we come out of this topic. And the topic is about hypermasculinity and its associated factors among the University of KwaZulu-Natal students, specifically male students. So I found it very interesting and I didn't mind to take up on that topic, and we are working on it. So, um, a key tip that I can give you guys when it comes to research or preparing for research in your M1 is to make sure you start early. Start your proposal as early as this year and don't wait until the last minute. So, break down your research tasks into phases: literature review, methodology, data collection, and analysis, and also start writing. So this approach will help you keep organized and prevent burnout once they want you guys to submit your proposal on your M1. Because by the end of M1, you should have submitted your proposal and at least applied for for ethical clearance so that you can continue with collecting your data. So what are the strategies I used for self management, motivation, and mental well being? These include me balancing my coursework, research, and personal life, which was a bit challenging at first, especially in M1. But I found that maintaining a routine helped me stay grounded. So I scheduled regular breaks. I exercised a lot. I love gym as well. So I also made time for hobbies on weekends, especially from Friday, and this helped me recharge mentally. I also set small achievable goals each week that boosted my motivation and gave me a sense of accomplishment. Um, Also, self compassion was vital for me. During stressful times, I reminded myself that it's okay to not have all the answers immediately. Connecting with peers or mentors for support and sharing experiences created a sense of community for me and reassurance. Also, seeing my therapist helped me a lot. And also, mindfulness exercises on YouTube. I even slept whilst playing those kind of exercises, and journaling, writing my thoughts really helped a lot to manage my stress and to stay focused on my goals. So, A little bit of personal stories of overcoming obstacles and staying motivated was that one of the biggest obstacles I faced was admitting to this new research method, which is quantitative. I was unfamiliar with it since I love qualitative, but I love learning. I'm always curious. I decided, let me go for it. And yes, initially it felt overwhelming and I doubted my abilities a bit, but I reminded myself of how I chose that path and my passion for understanding human behavior and helping others. I ended up dedicating extra hours to learn this kind of methodology and also got that guidance from my supervisor to also celebrate my small wins when it comes to this research. So I would like to leave you with a few words that there are always moments when you would question how you can balance everything. I'm talking about your academic demands, your research, your personal commitments, and make sure during those times you will have to learn and also remember that leaning on your support system and reaffirming your purpose won't let you down. Try to do that. And also learn that perseverance coupled with positive attitudes, transformating the obstacles into opportunities for growth will also help you. Make sure you also remember your journey is unique, meaning if I'm talking about Nompumelelo in M1 for Nompumelelo will be unique from M1 Watisex, you see. So try and remember that your journey will be unique. And every challenge will be your opportunity to grow. Even when faced with setbacks like juggling those multiple responsibilities or mastering that new research technique, try to remember that perseverance and a positive mindset will make all the difference. Each difficulty you overcome not only will bring you closer to your goals, but it will also shape you into a resilient and a capable psychologist. So, a quote to inspire you is the only way to do great work is to love what you do by Steve Jobs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norma, for also guiding the 2026 colleagues, the 2026 cohort, which have now become our colleagues in terms of how they can best prepare for the year ahead, and most importantly, prioritizing self-care, taking care of themselves, and also giving practical tips in terms of how they can actually implement that. Thank you for sharing your personal experiences as well, and just the research setback that, hey, both of us are on, but with hopes that we will manage to 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 overcome. So thank you so much. I know that you are rushing to another meeting, but I don't know if there are questions for Norma now or there will be at a later stage. If there are questions, you can quickly put up your hand or type in the chat while she's still here with us. I see Nompumelelo, your hand's been up. I don't know if it's a historic hand or you still have questions or comments. Thank you so much. Norma has to rush to a meeting, so if you have questions for her, you can put them in the chat and then I'll run them past her and hopefully she'll respond at a later stage, maybe with another video or something. So, yeah. Um, In the interest of time, I am then going to move forward to introduce myself. We don't have a facilitator, unfortunately, for this webinar, so I had to step in. So it feels weird, but I'm going to introduce myself as the last speaker for this webinar. So my name is Martha Moagi. For those that don't know me, I'm a passionate leader, volunteer with an extensive leadership background. I have also a strong interest in volunteer work. So my leadership roles began in the UNISA Zion Christian Church Student Fellowship in 2019, where I served as the Women's Forum additional member and I was a female choir coordinator. In 2019, I was elected as the Women's Forum Deputy Chair Lady, Bible Study Committee Deputy Secretary, and continued with my choir coordinating duties. In 2019 as well, I was also elected as the Alumni Panel Treasurer General until 2022, and I'm currently serving as the Social Support Services Secretary General in the UNISAs at CCSF. I am a mental health advocate who has been invited to several speaking engagements to raise mental health awareness on YouTube and virtual events. In 2021, I was invited to speak at the Northwest University Student Fellowship. And in 2021, again, I was volunteering as a content writer at Mental Health Week organization in Philippines. It was online. And in 2021, again, I founded the UNISA Zion Christian Church Student Fellowship Psychologist Students Hub. And in 2022, I started serving in the International Psychology Students Initiative as the Secretary General. Additionally, I have hosted mental health awareness workshops within the UNISA Student Fellowship. I have been mentoring students since 2021 through the UNISA Student Mentorship Program. In 2023, after being accepted into the master's program, I started mentoring students with the aims of helping them get into the master's program. Every year, I've had successful candidates make it into the professional psychology master's program. In 2024, I was volunteering at the Cognition and Core as a mentor, and at Papano the Difference as a mentor as well. In 2025 January, I launched the Sailing with Martha mentorship program. I hold a higher certificate in archives and records management from UNISA, a bachelor's degree in psychology, and a bachelor's degree honors in psychology as well from UNISA. I am currently enrolled for the Master of Social Science in Counselling Psychology at the University of KwaZulu-Natal at the Pietermaritzburg campus. I completed my M1 in 2023, M2 2024 last year at the University of Fort Hare, and I am currently in the process of completing my research as well. I am passionate about student well-being, and my interests lie in fostering holistic student success. During my internship, I had the opportunity to work with the Uyinene Foundation as a GBV, sexual consent and substance abuse activist. I also worked part-time as the Uyinene Foundation representative in the Eastern Cape. I'm currently co-hosting an ongoing suicide prevention skills workshop alongside a colleague. My research interests lie in trauma and male mental health. I have presented a concept paper at the Southern African Association for Counselling and Development in Higher Education conference in 2024. I also presented a poster of my research at the Southern African Psychology Students Conference in July 2025. So that's just a bit about me, or more about me. My colleagues have touched on tips to prepare for M1. I'm just going to share an experience of mine and delve deeper into the less anticipated setbacks that come with the acceptance letter, right? So I'm sort of like going to be the bearer of bad news. They spoke all about, the good news, the beautiful experiences, what to expect, what to do, what not to do, but I'm just going to come with some of the things that you might not have thought of or might be overlooking as you are sitting with your acceptance letter right now and thinking that, yes, I have made it. Well, without any doubt, you have made it, but I just want you guys to go in prepared and maybe find ways to avoid some of the things that you can avoid. So for me, if I am going to speak about my experience in my cohort, majority of the students were HPCSA professionals like Tshepiso and like Tshepiso has alluded to, people with more experiences, social workers, teachers, and in the first few days or months, I felt like I was not deserving to be in the program because I felt like I was just floating around and not knowing what to do or not belonging actually because you're in class and when certain questions are asked or when we are learning a certain thing, some people seem to have like done this M1 thing before and then there's just me who's just new to this experience, right? So it was really difficult to navigate that and yeah, I was clueless most of the time, especially during assessments. I did not know anything about assessments. I knew there was something called psychological assessments, but I didn't know there were assessments called ways and whatnot. And I believe that there's someone in this webinar, sitting here and thinking, oh, what is the ways? Don't worry about it. You're going to learn about it in your M1 and don't go now trying to Google what is ways, assessments, blah, blah, blah. The time will come for you to learn about those things, right? And then how I managed to overcome this imposter syndrome, not feeling worthy to be in the same class as my colleagues, right? I just, set myself down and affirmed myself that if the panel was able to choose me alongside those professionals or my colleagues and put me in the same class with them, that means we were equals, no one was above the other. In as much as we bring different perspectives, we bring different knowledge, some are more experienced than others, but none of us had been in an M1 class before. Hence, we were all fit to be selected for that specific year, right? And to learn together. So I know that majority of you now might be thinking that, yo, I have to start studying. I have to start, reading up on this and that and that. Yes, you can do that just to, refresh your memory here and there in terms of some of the things that you've done in your undergrad and your honors, but don't overdo it to a point whereby you should be resting, you should be prioritizing rest, you should be spending time with your loved ones if you're going to be relocating to a different city or province, So, yes, you can, but don't overdo it to a point that by the time January or February comes next year, you're already burnt out because the M1 year, like it's about to get tough. M1 is hectic. Like I said, that my colleagues spoke about all the beautiful experiences, and I feel like I'm saying I'm going to be saying all the negative stuff, but it's doable. I want you to keep an open mind as I'm speaking to you now. It's doable. Yes, it's tough. It's not easy. There isn't enough time, but always remember that it is doable, right? So I'm going to move past that and get into the setbacks, right? So, well, not necessarily setbacks, but yeah, some of the things that you may not anticipate. So, when you're applying for masters, there's the selections, the autobiographies, the application stress, the anxiety, the nerves, and you feel like, okay, I've applied for M1. I'm accepted. I'm done. I've made it. Yes, you have made it. But there is still M2, there is still your research, there is still community service for those that are doing clinical psychology, and there is still the board exam. So yes, you've made it through the first step, but there are still, a few more steps to go, right? Like I said, keep an open mind. I'm not here to scare you, but I'm just here to prepare you for what's coming ahead, right? So during your M1, around April, May, June, there, yeah, somewhere there, you would need to start applying for internships. So yes, you apply for internships, right? Just because you've made it into the masters doesn't mean that now you're done. You're just going to move from masters to internship, from internship to ComServe, from ComServe to just, or from internship or ComServe to just registering as a psychologist, right? I'm sure that you do know that you need to apply for internship. You need to do your internship, more especially for institutions that do not offer you an internship, right? So most institutions, you're going to need to apply for your internship. So now what does the application look like? It's more or less the same as the master's one, right? Not as hectic, but yes, you need to apply the same energy, and yeah, the processes are more or less the same. So you have to apply. With some, you even have to outsource the internships. Then you apply. What your application goes with a motivational letter, a referee letter or report, or yeah. So some applications, they require that. Some applications require that, but you might find that there's an application where you just need to send your CV, but motivational letter in terms of, why should you be considered for an interview at least, right? Then you're going to be called for interviews. What they want to see when they call you for the interviews is what have you done so far in your M1 year, right? What will you be able to actually start with your internship based on what you've done so far in your M1 year? Are you trained in specific modalities, that will assist maybe as you work in their internship site? So you're most likely to get an internship of your choice, but also if that doesn't happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are not a good enough intern, you're not fit enough to go to internship. So also bear in mind that it is possible to fail M1. Like I said, I don't want to scare you, but I'm just, putting this information out there so that you know you need to work hard to pass your M1, right? So make sure that you use all the time that you have to study and learn different modalities, assessments, because that's what they want to see when you go for internship interviews. They want to see your knowledge on different modalities, not just on one, or for the specific modality that they use in their internship side, right? Specific assessments as well. There are assessments that you need to know when you go there, right? So if I were to share a personal experience, which is something that I was really, really, really not prepared for, when I was applying for, when I got accepted into the program, I thought that, oh, I've made it. I'm gonna get there, pass, go to internship, get paid a lot of money, and yeah, just sail through, smoothly. But that unfortunately wasn't the case on my side. I am one person that I often refer to myself as a rare case, right? Because I made sure that I applied to as many internship sites as I can. For me, I didn't mind in terms of, changing, moving around provinces, cities, and whatnot. So I just applied everywhere. So I applied to 19, 19 placement sites, and I was called for interviews at 14 1-4. And yeah, to my surprise as well, I only got 2 offers. Out of the 14 interviews, I only got 2 offers. The offers that I got were not at my desired placement sites, because they were not paying much. I just felt like I was just offered this internships because, yeah, maybe a lot of people have secured internships. That imposter syndrome came back, it crept in, me feeling like I was not, good enough to go to internship. Maybe I was not ready enough. But yeah, I found myself, at the University of Fort Hare, and I just wasn't excited at all. I don't want to lie. I didn't want to go to the University of Fort Hare. It was one university that I had even forgotten that it exists, right? But yeah, it exists. I came to the University of Fort Hare, and everything was just, unfolding perfectly. The experience that I got, in as much as I wouldn't compare it to any other side, because it was my first time doing a psych internship, a HPCS A1, to be specific, but I felt like I really needed to do my internship there. And, given the experience that I got, both on the counseling part of things, the community work, everything. I feel like I was equipped with everything that I needed to learn as a counseling psychologist in training, right? So, in as much as you may apply and not get your desired internship placement site, I always believe that wherever you are placed, you're going to get the experience that you need, because some of the things, it's in what you make of the experience. When you get to that placement site, what is it that you do? Are you allowing yourself to grow, or you're just there to do your job, which is basically, the counseling part of things? What else are you doing outside of counseling? Because there's just a lot that a psychologist can do, right? So I'm gonna move from the internship side. Then I'm gonna go to the research hold, which is not pleasant at all. I completed my internship last year, 2024, and the year is almost over, and yeah, I still haven't, completed my research. So the research hold is really not pleasant, because you might at some point be expected to do an extended 3 or 6 months internship. So I urge you, like Norma said, that you need to start with your research as early as possible, in as much as it's hard to juggle going to class, your practicals, your research, but try to make sure that you do something each and every day of your M1 year on your research, right? So that you can just get it over and done with, to avoid this holds, to avoid the unemployment as well after your internship, to avoid getting an extended internship, to also avoid, because at some point it might lead to a point whereby you at some point it might lead to a point whereby you your M1 might not be recognized, you might need to go back to M1, something like that. So make sure that at least within the year after your internship, you finish it. If it happens that you have a hold, but aim to finish your internship, your research, at least at the end of your internship year, at least. But try by all means to finish to finish your research in your M1, right? So yeah, I think I am going to to stop right there, sharing my experiences and, the not so pleasant news that I just shared with you guys. So yeah, that is all from me. Thank you so much once again for taking your time to join our webinar to best prepare yourself for the master's year. We wish you nothing but the best in your journeys of becoming psychologists. Remember, the hard work of proving your worth or suitability for training is over now. I think this was the highlight of this webinar, that you've done everything that you could to prove that you're worth. The panel the panel has now declared you worthy of being trained by sending you that acceptance letter. So you belong in the field, and never ever let anyone make you feel like you don't. So colleagues, you are officially our colleagues. That's a wrap. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I am going to take any questions or reflections that may come now. So yeah. Nompumelelo, your hand is up. I don't know if it's it's a historic hand or.
I'm sorry, I don't know. My hand is down, so I don't know if it's next.
Okay, all right, no problem. Thank you. So we are going to upload this webinar on the recording on our YouTube channel. Please check it out. Please check our social media platforms for the update. Once it's uploaded, hopefully by tomorrow or next week, it will be up on YouTube for you to catch up. And feel free to reach out to us during your M1 year or whenever when you have questions on our social media platforms. If there isn't any reflections, any questions, I think we can leave it there. Colleagues, all the best in your M1 year.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you.
It's only a pleasure.
Please remove me, my friend. I'm busy.
You're saying? I did not get that.
Please remove me. I'm busy. Hey, but I was listening.
Okay, no problem, no problem. I'll
Yeah.
just waiting for everyone to leave. I don't want to leave while maybe someone is still typing.
Okay.
Let me stop the recording.
Lovely presentation, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I also enjoyed listening into yours and the practical steps.
But you made me laugh. Why were you laughing at my funny fact? You were not supposed to laugh, but
Because
it's a
it was,
fun fact.
it's a fun fact. I had to laugh.
Yo, we are traumatizing other people here.
Oh man. Okay, I think I'm going to end the meeting now. I don't know if Nshavo is still trying
I
to say something.
just say, call their name 2 or 3 times. If they don't answer, they are away. Just leave the meeting. End the meeting for all of us.
Nshavo, do you still want to say something?
No, ma'am, no, sorry, sorry. I'm satisfied. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. I'm going to end the meeting for all of us now. Bye bye.
Bye.